Thank you, Leslie. Just one quick question. Michael, is that picture behind you actually behind you, or is that just a picture behind you?
No, that's my bookcase.
Wow, I'm quite jealous.
Interesting.
On Facebook, there's a librarianist page, and they go through people's libraries. So yours would show proudly there.
I love, yeah, we always wanted this, and we had this built a few years ago, and with the actual ladder and everything. So, yep, we love it. I look forward to adding your book onto my scouting shelf.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And another question. I'm assuming there are it's either some here or others are Eagle Scouts. Yes. Are you familiar with the YouTube page called Eagle Scouts Worldview? Um, it's somebody that's on the NISA board, and he started this page where he interviews Eagle Scouts or people who have Eagle Scouts or people who support Eagle Scouts. And there aren't tons of followers yet, but as far as a way to get the message of what your club does, he's always looking for people to interview. So if one of you would interview with him, I'll send Leslie the contact info for the guy, and he's great to work with, really very quite professional, and that's just another way to get the word out. Another vehicle, because as they get more and more people interviewed, of course, more and more people are sharing it, and so you just get a little more coverage.
Great, thank you.
But let me.
Mark, is that Mark Frederick? Is that who I'm
It
saying?
is.
Does that sound familiar?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know him?
No, I just looked it up while you were talking. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. So if he doesn't have his contact info, let me know, and I'll let you. I'll send it to you. Let me just share. I'll just show you this, the cover of the book. I really didn't create a presentation per se. I just didn't know what I would put in it. Let's see here. Where is sharing? Here. So I started this book when my kids were active in Scouts. Our daughter is now a neonatology fellow, and our son works for a missions training organization. And so it's been a few years, and I was actively involved with everything from Cub Scouts. Our son started as a Tiger, worked his way through to his Eagle Scout. Our daughter started in Brownies and Girl Scouts. Kind of like you were saying, Lisa, there got to be a point where she didn't participate anymore, but through venturing, she got re-involved in Girl Scouts. And so it's kind of interesting to be able to do both. And there are many books and websites and so forth helping parents navigate scouting, but I didn't find any books about helping parents navigate parenting. And that's one of the passions my wife and I have. We currently serve in the Middle East, caring for Christian workers throughout that region, and our passions are really healthy marriages and healthy families. And so we've done marriage and parenting trainings throughout our lives. And I realized there's an untapped market in parents who want their children to succeed in scouting. So you see the subtitle, How to Raise Successful Scouts. One of the potential titles I actually looked at was Parenting Successful Scouts. So capturing people who want their scout to be successful in scouting with lessons learned through my experience. And I'm pretty open and honest in the book about the mistakes I made and the things I saw made and the things I saw that worked well. It is intentionally short. I don't know about you guys. You start looking, it's about 3 times as long as it needed to be. And I really wanted to avoid that because we do not need another tome on the shelf that we can't get through. So it's designed to get through pretty quickly. But it's really going through the stages of scouting, like how do you parent a young child in the ages of tiger, bear, wolf, or wolf and bear. Then how do you parent through the teenage? We loved our kids' teenage years, which I think is anathema to many people. But it's something we really look forward to. Like, so how do you set up your children for success in their teenage years and now in their post college years? And so that was really what started this. I started this back when my son was in Scouts. So this would have been probably 15 years ago. I started the book, and it sat for a long time. And I started rewriting it as a novel and realized that's not what people need. People just need data. Like, what do I do? What do I do? I just heard that over and over again. Just tell me what I need to do. And so I met with a friend of mine, another scouter, a couple of years back when I was on, we were on our first home leave from the Middle East, and met. I don't even know how this came up. He just mentioned this book I'd written. He goes, "Oh, we need that now." And I'm glad I wrote it now, because now with girls involved in scouting, that would have left a whole category. I've got a whole section on the importance of especially relationship with dads and daughters, which I wouldn't have had the opportunity to include 15 years ago. And so that's how the book came about. So really just a quick intro of me. I think Lazel kind of mentioned I've been through all the facets of scouting, with inner city scout troops, with affluent scout troops, with all different facets of scouting and venturing and district and council and NYLT and the different leadership roles there. Just gave you a little bit of an overview as to why I wrote the book. This one is definitely BSA oriented. The reality is, the parenting information, you don't need to be a scout. You don't need to be a Boy Scout. You don't need to be a Scout BSA. You don't need to be a Cub Scout. You need to be a kid. And so it's really for any scouts. What I found in a lot of the Girl Scout moms I talked to, they didn't like the BSA flavor. So I'm actually in the process now of updating a second edition for make it more Girl Scout oriented, because I really want, I hate to have made all these stupid mistakes and somebody not learn from them. It'd be kind of dumb to go make the same one again. And so that's really what I try to share is learning from what I saw went well, wished I had done well. And Leslie, you'd mentioned, I wish I had this book when my son was a Tiger Cub. One of the quotes, one of the topics I deal with in the book is parents parenting through or scouting through their children. I know you all come across that. And our son one time, he was Cub Scouts, and I was praying him to do I said, "Dad, I think this is Boy Scouts, not Man Scouts, isn't it?" And boy, that just kind of hit home. But I've heard others requote, so that's his line. But that I realized that I saw so many parents doing that, and their children are more prone to drop out because they're just being pressured and pushing through. And so that was a big element of why I wrote this. And I kind of say at the beginning, if you're not ready to listen to truth, it's not the book for you. I don't cut corners. Parents don't have time to dance around issues, I don't think. And so it's pretty, as a church elder, but they're still hard. And so I don't mince words, but I hope them to be offensive in any way whatsoever, of course. I structured, as I mentioned, so like there's several chapters, and the core ones are Lion to Bear, and then Webelos, dealing with middle school transition and middle school growth and peer pressure and all that stuff, transitioning into high school or later middle school and high school with scouts to first class, and then what you do with the Eagle Scout and the one that wants to time out. And then I've got a section on duty to God, which I think is so incredibly important, however a family defines God. But I just saw so many people in college that took their parents' faith with them to college and didn't keep it. And so really that was such an important point to me. Whatever a family's faith is, that the child develops their own faith in that context, so they take it with them. And so that's a really important element to me. As I mentioned, I've got it kind of organized in that way. In each section, I've got maybe the whole book's 30,000 words, which is just pretty small. It's 150 pages. It's got, each section has sample conversations. Like, here's the conversation that's not going very well. It's like, go get all your trip merit badges done, and you need to do more than I did last year. And then turn into a helpful conversation about how many merit badges did you want to work on? How are they going? Are you getting the help you need? Is there something I can do to support you in working on your merit badge? And just turning an unhelpful conversation into a helpful conversation. If any of you have read Don't Tell Me What to Do, Just Send Money, it's a book about sending kids to college. And that's kind of where that idea came from, is dealing with those helpful and unhelpful conversations. And then just a summary. So in this phase of scouting, what would be healthy for your child as a scout? What should be healthy as you as a parent? And what are some success metrics that your child rearing, your scouting are going well. So I don't, again, this is really focused on the parenting in the scouting framework. So using Edge at home, like how many of you explain, demonstrate, guide, enable in your household? How many of your kids do that with their friends? How many, just using the scouting framework as a parenting tool and vice versa. I think scouts and parenting make such a fabulous combination. That was really my heart behind writing this. And so it's available. I published it in August of last year. It's in a couple scout shops now. I'm working with National, which is a slow process, but they've been very encouraging. Hopefully in the next month or two, if things go well, it will start becoming available in more scout shops, which I'm excited about because I'd far rather scouts get the incremental money than Amazon getting it, which is what's happening now. And so, they can sell it at the list price. I sell it to them for $8 a book, including shipping and my taxes and everything. And my goal is they make more money on it than I do. So that's what I'm working on now. If anybody wanted, a group like for share with troop parents or something like that, I can drop ship them from Amazon for about $8 a book if I've got at least five books. It takes a long time. It takes about a month. So you don't get prime shipping when you're an author sending out of your own. I just had some books sent to my council in Texas. They ordered some. I think it took about 5 weeks for them to get there. So they're a bit slow.
Wow.
Available in paperback and hardback or ebook or whatever. And if you guys wanted to read it, I could send you the either the PDF or the ebook rather than if Leslie, you mentioned sometimes you like to go through books as a Rotary Club, and so I can certainly make it available to you guys if funds are a problem. I'd love to recoup my expenses. This is not part of our retirement plan. I'm not trying to get rich off this. I really am. My heart is really behind helping parents succeed with their kids and helping, especially their teenage years, be a joyful experience for both of them. So that's really what I had. It's kind of short and sweet. I love questions or thoughts. If you scan through it and find errors, please let me know so I can correct them.
I have a question.
Yes, Pat.
Have you read Michael Gurian's book, The Wonder of Boys?
No, sounds great.
Yeah, I actually put a link to the book there. Here, I'll send it. So he wrote a book called The Wonder of Boys, and I thought it was really interesting. He was like, he talked about the problems of boys in our society today. And he was saying that a boy needs 3 families. And he needs the nuclear family of brothers and sisters and those family members. And he talks about all the lessons they learn while they're with that family. Then they have the extended family, which are the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and all that. The aunts and the grandparents, and they learn various lessons there. And then he talks about the tribe, and the tribe would be scouting, Sunday school, those things that prepares him for adulthood. And one of the things he talks about is the fact that, if you take a look at our society right now, our nuclear families are broken apart. Many times we live all over the country there, so we don't have those extended families. And he actually has solutions to those problems. And he also talks about the fact that a lot of young people don't have a tribe. They don't they don't get that ceremony that says you're a man now, or you're a young adult now. And so he says that's why you have 30-year-old men still living with their mothers. No one told them they had grown up yet. Yeah. Where it used to be like high school graduation or like high school graduation was a really big deal. I mean, you were gonna graduate from high school, pack up and go somewhere, either military or college or whatever. But now they just kind of linger around. So it's a really cool book, and it's great to put that into what you're doing, because I know there was a lot of correlations to his writings. I think he actually wrote A Fine Young Man, and he wrote another, The Wonder of Girls also. But it's interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. One of the things I did in my book is about other resources, because I don't go into great depth in anything to keep it short. And so that would have been a great one to link. I've got Dobson's got a great book, Bringing Up Boys, and I do reference several studies on the effects of fatherlessness on boys and girls. Of course, that's the advantage of scouting being co-ed now, as I can address both sides, which is, from my perspective, great. There's a lot of other great benefits for having girls involved, of course. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. Yeah, we had one of the inner city troop we worked in was sponsored by the police department, and the chief of police was a big proponent of scouting. And I think part of his philosophy is, to exactly your point, Pat, is these kids are going to join a gang. I'd like them to join this gang of Boy Scouts, where they're going to do some good in society instead of a gang that I'm going to have to deal with on the back end. And so we had campouts at the he opened up all. Was such a strong proponent, and we had kids had never left the Belmont going camping. They didn't know how to swim, they didn't know how to ride bikes, and through scouting we just opened their horizons, and I know changed some lives. So it kind of goes along with what you're saying about that tribe.
Right. Well, I think that was Baden Powell's original intention. He was taking these kids from industrial England during 1900, and they weren't very good soldiers. They weren't good people, and they didn't have a whole lot of skills.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Well, I sure appreciate you guys let me talk to you, and just what y'all do, both as Rotarians and as Rotarians who support scouting. So when I come across, I'm on a lot of Facebook pages and parents and scouts and things like that. Is this Rotary? So it's virtual, right? It's all Zoom based, but it's all scouts and scouters. Yeah,
just about.
I mean, real,
Or people.
but I mean, that's the focus. The focus
scouting.
on supporting scouting.
Yeah. Yeah, so they don't necessarily need to be involved with scouting, but want to support scouting, right?
Mhm.
So that's our
I wanna promote
that's
it.
where we focus our attention.
Right. Well, I'll do my part to promote it, because I think what y'all are doing is important. And I said, there's so many people that just don't know. Like that's what you keep coming across. Like, oh, I didn't know this thing existed. I wish I'd known.
Yeah.
So my part.
Michael, did you have a question? You would come off mute.
Well, I was gonna, so I've ordered my copy. It won't be here till Wednesday. So obviously I have no idea what it's about, but was there something as you were writing? And so it sounds like this was kind of a long process, or at least when you started it. Maybe you'd set it down for a little while, and came back to it. But was there something that really kind of struck you? What was is there a big takeaway, or is it just a whole bunch of little lessons?
I think the biggest takeaway back to this often is parenting for your scout, not through your scout. Not living through them, and helping them grow to make good decisions, and letting them do that. I think those are probably the two biggest takeaways: is feeding out a little of a line at a time, as they go through what's an appropriate bear decision versus a Webelos decision versus an Eagle Scout decision. And one of the points I make is it can actually create tension when a child goes to scouts and they're trusted to make decisions and they're seen as a good leader, and they come home who isn't empowered with anything. And that can create friction in a family that should be to bring the family together. Those are probably the two of the biggest ones, and then the third one is the whole duty to God. However a family, I'm a Christian, and so my angle is very important in our family, and we did all of the different duty to God patches and all throughout scouting, but that whatever that child, like, you're their trust, and the parent needs to be their trusted source in all things of faith, in dating and all of those aspects. How do you develop that relationship that allows you and invites you into that conversation? Yeah, thank you. It's a good question.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, that's one thing in the troop that I'm involved in, or currently, we've been in the troop since 2011. When I have two boys, my wife and I have two boys. They're both Eagle Scouts, but one's 23, one's 19. So they're kind of through and moved on with things. But it's one thing we really kind of pride ourselves on in that troop is really being, youth led. And sometimes the program's not great, but they're doing it.
I mentioned that like, if you enter and it's just seamless and smooth, it's may not be a scout led troop. It's bumpy. It's you're seeing leadership development in process.
It's very interesting. So my oldest is 19 and still involved with scouting. And now some of the leaders in the unit where he's active are younger, 16-year-old. And he's like, I wish they had done blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, when you were 16, you made those same mistakes. They're 16, they're learning.
Yeah.
Patient.
Yeah. We held our son back in as a child, and so he aged out as a junior. And so he couldn't actually camp with his friends anymore because he was technically an adult. And in his case, we moved into these inner city troops to help out with them because it was just too hard for him to be around his friends and not being able to share a tent with them. And it was just so fun for him to be. We were it was a predominantly minority troop, and we were seen as though these do-gooder white guys coming in. And after a little while, it's like, no, Timothy's just Timothy. He's not anything. He's our I think he was an assistant scoutmaster or something like that in that troop. It's like, no, he's one of us. And it's just so rewarding that scouting can cross racial lines, religious lines that other functions just can't. It's beautiful. Yeah.
So one of the things we had talked
That's a fantastic
about,
group.
Go ahead.
No, sorry.
So we haven't ever done the book club type of style before, but when Bear Grylls' book came out, we talked about, when it's available in the United States, we should do it. And I'm thinking that this book might be another book that might be helpful, interesting to do as well. So I would be interested in getting a few of your books to pass around. Our local scout shop is not nationally ran, so I'd be happy to pass it along to the manager of our scout shop to see if he's interested in adding it there. Is that something I can just email you about, or?
Yeah, just email me and I can get you the sort some solution out for you. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that support. And like I said, it really is. It's hard writing a book with your name on it, at least for me, because it starts making it's about you, and it's not. It really is. I have to promote it because that's just like you're saying. How do you get the word out about this Rotarian Club unless you promote it? And so I have to promote it, even though it's mine. But it really is helping people. So hopefully it'll help those you share it with.
So,
I appreciate that.
Any questions today? No? Well, I'm going to stop recording. We're all done with our questions.